Hey folks, hope you're having a great day. This is my fifth video where I go through my book. Actually, sixth video. The first video was an overview of the book, and then I've gone chapter by chapter. So we're going to take a quick look at chapter 5. But first of all, I just again want to thank all the people that have read it. Thank all the people that have reached out to me. I love hearing from you, so it's really fun and exciting to hear from the people telling me they've got the book or they finished the book or they've asked me questions or they told me what they thought. And in Messenger and Facebook, as well as just emailed me on my contact page of my website. So thank you very much. It's been a lot of fun to get your comments and your questions and your feedback. So keep it coming. And I thank you for the reviews. I have 26 and growing reviews on Amazon, so thank you very much. Actually, I have a couple reviews in the UK as well as in Canada, Amazon as well. So thank you very much. Keep the reviews coming. I appreciate it. So let's take a quick look at Chapter 5, Dimensions of Prayer, and what do I touch on in this chapter. I'd share that before centering prayer, my prayer, I consider it one-dimensional. It was me talking to God. But centering prayer, since practicing centering prayer, I've changed how I think about prayer. And I haven't stopped talking to God. But my prayer life has become less one-dimensional and become more whole. I think of prayer as speaking to God. I think of prayer as listening to God. And what I mean by listening to God, that could be taking a walk in nature and seeing something beautiful. It could mean listening and watching your child do something fun and spontaneous. It could mean hearing something from someone that's a new perspective that you've never heard before. So that's all listening to God. Prayer is also community with others, just sitting down and having a meal with someone, or a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. That's prayer. It's community with someone. And then lastly, centering prayer, what I practice, resting in God, where I'm sitting beyond thoughts and words and emotions and resting in the rest of God at a deeper level. So I talk about how my prayer life has changed, and I'm certainly not saying get rid of any of those other prayer forms, and I don't, but I've added, since I've been practicing silent prayer, centering prayer, a resting in God. And then I also touch on a Quaker experience. So if you've never had an opportunity, and maybe right now in COVID, you might not be able to, but in the non-COVID world, if you ever have an opportunity to go to the traditional Quaker service, which is done in silence, that I share an experience of that in the book. And that was just a neat experience. So that's a little bit about chapter 5. I just talk about dimensions of prayer and how my prayer life has been added to as a result of centering prayer. And as I've been doing with each of these videos, let's just take a look at the questions at the end for reflection and discussion, and I'll answer them for myself. And I'll encourage you, as you finish each chapter, to take a look at them and think about how you would answer these questions. So how do you define, the first question is, how do you define prayer? How do you pray? Well, obviously I talked about that earlier, but prayer is, speaking to God. Prayer is listening to God. Prayer is community with others. Prayer is resting in silence in the rest of God. And I'll add a couple more. Prayer is just taking a walk, a stroll through your neighborhood. Prayer is just walking. So that's what prayer is. And you might have other examples of prayer. How has your prayer life evolved? I've talked where I've added a further depth to it as a result of my centering prayer practice. I've added depth to my prayer practice, a much needed depth. How do you listen to God? I listen, as I mentioned earlier, just watching my 12-year-old play and watch what he does and the spontaneous fun he has. I listen to God by doing that. Listening to my wife when she needs just someone to hear her without me reacting. Those are two different ways I listen to God, because God is in that present moment. And then the last question, what does it mean to rest in God? How have you experienced this? I experience it with centering prayer. And with the use of the sacred word, I let go of thoughts and emotions, and I open up to God, the presence and actions of God within, and I rest in the rest of God. And I think of it as a reverse prayer that God is praying in me. And I talk about, obviously, centering prayer in this book. So that's all. I just wanted to jump on and talk about chapter 5 and answer the questions at the end for reflection and discussion. So if you've just gotten the book, I hope you enjoyed. If you finished the book, I hope you enjoyed it. And again, please consider writing a short, couple sentence honest review on Amazon. That would mean a lot to me. And if you have questions or comments that you want to make as you're reading the book or finishing the book, please reach out to me. I'd love to read your emails, and I will definitely respond back to you. And we might even have some back and forth discussion. And who knows if your question could land as a video on Facebook. So thanks again for watching, and thanks for the people that will catch it on the replay. And I hope everybody has a great rest of the day wherever you are. Take care.